So I'm ready finally, sorry about that. We came in a bit late here and then we had some issues with internet, so we had to switch it. I was also going to, as you know, so you know it, I'm recording the session with my GoPro. The aim is to be able to place it online later. And one of you are in the picture at least. Hopefully I am, and hopefully the picture up on the wall.
You are Daniel.
Huh?
You are Daniel.
Yeah, that's me. I'm coming to, I promise you. So another unfortunate thing is that I forgot one thing on the hotel or the place where we stay, and that's my notes. But I downloaded them digitally, so now I have them here as well. That also took 10 minutes. So I'm Magnus, that's my real name, known as Ganja 1447 in the geocaching world. I'm the founder of Project GC. I come from Sweden, which I hope you all know where it is. It's a bit north of here at least. We don't have snow. That's not that far off. I've been geocaching since 2010. You could say that I'm quite active. I have 16,000 finds, but I know a lot of people here in Czech Republic are as active as well and have plenty of finds. Some of the things I focus on, I actually focus on a lot with geocaching, but for the moment I focus on T5 caching and I collect the physical grid. And for my other days when I'm not out climbing or actually being able to log a new DT, which isn't always possible at home, I try to fill my calendars with stupid stuff. So I have, of course, I geocached on every calendar day, but I also try to fill it with a traditional, an unknown, size upper, size small. I try to fill my calendar with D2, T2, 1.5, and so on, just to keep it going. And that's one of a few of the stupid things that's born from actually using my own sites. To start doing very weird stuff. Before I did this, I was working, or I have a history in system administration. So I've been working a lot with servers. On some of my employment situations, I have worked partly as a web developer as well, and it has suited me quite well since I'm now running this company as a system administrator, business management, and primary web developer. So we're going to touch a few topics today. And the first one is that I was going to present myself, which I just did. Now I know a few things about me. And I'm going to talk of how Project GC was born, where it comes from. We're going to mention the profile statistics, which is pretty much what you're seeing here. It's on my stats, just flowing, my personal stats. I'm going to mention what we call dynamic top lists, which is probably what Project GC is most famous for, besides the profile stats maybe. Going to do a fast comparison between the paid membership and the free membership at Project GC. I'm going to mention something called a user script, which is a plugin for a normal web browser to change how other sites look, or actually on the geocaching.com. Then we're going to, all that I hope to do in like 15 minutes or so, so those will be quite fast points. Then we're coming to the main topic of today, which will be planning your geocaching trip with Project GC. After that, if we have time, I'm going to talk a bit about the challenge checkers, how they came to exist, and how we ended up being the official partner of geocaching.com for handling them. So next topic then is how Project GC was born. It started with me being interested in statistics, of course. I wanted to know things like who has cached the most in the place, and who has logged all these, which countries as active as Sweden and so on. Because especially when you're fairly new, as I was back then, you didn't really have a big view of things. I remember myself saying once in time, this is 2010, when I have 100 finds, then I'm a professional geocacher. That's what I thought. And I guess most people here have over 100 finds today, and I guess still see that you notice you see new things here and there. There's still things to learn. So I was totally wrong. So let's start that again. So I started building statistics for myself, which I did partly in the web interface and partly not. From there, I had some friends starting to ask for it. I published more on the web, which was unofficial. Then suddenly geocachers started finding it by themselves without me even promoting it. And the demand started to be higher. So I decided to, let's expand this. It was still a hobby project, something I did on my spare time, part of my job. And I realized it's a lot of people who are like me, who wants these things. And that's pretty much where it started. A few years later then, I got an official API partner with Groundspeak, or Geocaching HQ, as they would like us to call them today. 3 years ago, I quit my work and started working full-time with ParkGC instead. So that's what I do for a living today. So, as mentioned, ParkGC is mostly famous for one big topic, and it's statistics. And while we will touch it in a way today, I don't think that's the most powerful thing about ParkGC itself, even though it's most famous for it. But the statistics can be divided in more or less two ways. One of them is the profile statistics, which are personal statistics for a specific user, for any user actually. You can see pretty much anything. We can just take something when it scrolls up and see what it is. So it's going to switch to milestones. Now it's switched to FTF, quite boring topic, but you can see which DTs I have FTF on. First FTF by county, or Monaco City and region, and first by type and so on. It's things like this, and it's not only for FTFs, there are maps for where you found caches and so on. As mentioned, these can be rendered for anyone. The long-term goal with these, those who are missing something, is that we will have something called user-contributed modules. We would like to create a small scripting language where someone can add their own modules into this. If we want to see something completely different that we don't provide, it can be added into the statistics. That's the long-term goal. It's been the plan for 2 or 3 years already, so I'm not saying it's happening this year, but that's the goal. Then we have top lists at ParkGC. I can show them a bit. See, let's pick something of interest. This is, by the way, how ParkGC looks when you're not logged in. We had some server issues tonight, so I think most people got logged out. And this is how you log in. You don't have a user account at ParkGC because everything is done via geocaching.com. It's a geocaching.com account that's used. And the good thing about that is that ParkGC never stores a password or any personal information like that. The most personal information ParkGC knows about you are the home coordinates that enter into geocaching.com. There is nothing more personal stored. So just to look at how the concept of top lists at ParkGC, which we will come back to again, is that we have, well, this is the statistics menu. It's mostly top lists in here. And I can choose, for example, I want to see the caches with the most favorite points. So since we're in Czech Republic, let's choose that one. And it generates a top list here. You can notice that it's hard to see on the wall, but I think these are gray. It's either or black, I think they're gray. It's because they're disabled or archived. And if we want to tweak around in the top list, we can do quite a lot. For example, we can tell the system, I don't want to see disabled, I don't want to see archive, I might not even want to see premium because I'm not a premium member. If I want to, I can add a filter for type and say, I only want to see traditionals. And only want to see micros, I don't know why, but just because we can. And I ask the system for a new top list. And it answers me again. So here's a top list of the caches in Czech Republic with the most favorite points that are traditional, they are micro, and they're 100% active. If we then want to, we can take a top list and plot it onto a map by using this button. It will ask us how many caches we want on the map. So let's take the default, top 100, and the system will create a map for us. So not surprisingly, we have a lot of favorite caches in your two biggest cities. But you can also see there are quite a few others. Czech Republic has an amazing amount of favorite points out there actually. I hope the caches are as good. We'll try to see tonight and tomorrow. I've cached a bit in Prague before, but it's a few years ago. So we will come back to the top list because they will be included in the way to actually plan your geocaching trips as we see it. So I'm just going to flip over somewhere here. So the next topic I'm going to go through quite fast. You can have it here, no problem. I mentioned we have paid membership at GoPro. We also have a lot of content that's free. The paid membership, as mentioned on the third point, I'm skipping a bit, is between 15 and 20 euros per year, more or less. It's actually 18 euros per year, but if you buy 2 years or 3 years, it's a bit cheaper. And it comes down to about what the price of geocaching.com. We call it paid membership. A lot of our users refer it to as premiums, but since we also have a lot of users who confuse with geocaching.com and GC, we try to avoid using their terms. For example, now when there were 4,000 new virtuals launched, or they're not launched yet, but they are given away to different users, even we get complaints about the system. A lot of people contact GC.com and says, hey, why didn't I get one? Well, I don't know. At geocaching.com, we didn't provide it. So we have to actually spend quite a lot of time explaining to users that these are two different companies. A paid membership, of course, unlocks more content in the menus. I would say maybe half of the content is available for free, but maybe the most powerful parts are actually for the paid members, of course. We have a 10-day trial that can be active for anyone who wants to. I think we're actually allowed to activate it once per year even. So if you try trial 1 year, you can try it next year as well. Or at least a year after. So you can try it in December and then again. So I'm just going to understand no notes, but in home membership, that's the menu home. And membership. That's where you buy a membership at GoPro, and it also lists quite a few of the advantages. So, some of the major points, according to me, is that the site becomes ad-free. The profile stats that was rolling here earlier refreshes daily for paid members and weekly for those who aren't. You noticed I used filters in the top list. There are more filters available for paid members, while actually the most important, the most common ones are for free. Some of the top lists have restrictions, like you can't say I want a world top list of this, but for paid members there are fewer of those restrictions. If you're trying to log a cache in every region you have or every county, there are tools for GC who displays you have these, so you can click it and you can dive into that part and see which caches are available to you. These are behind the paywall, and they are quite a few users request and ask for them. We have a map that shows you all caches where you have added corrected coordinates, which is partly true. But if you add the coordinates into the cache node, GoPro will always know that you solved it. So if you solve mysteries a bit here and there, or multis or whatever, GoPro will know your solution for you. It can move the item to the correct spot on the map, which is quite nifty. What isn't as known, which I personally love, are the different notifiers that are available at GoPro, which also paid features. We have something called event notifiers, and yes, you can get notification from geocaching.com about new caches, including events, but the first problem is that it's restricted to 80-kilometer radius. And as you probably understand, I have a lot more than 80 kilometers to this event, so I will never get notified about this one. So, GoPro, or actually Ivan personally, thought, how would I like to know about new events? Well, in the area where I live, I might want to know about most of them. Those I had a 15-minute drive to, I might want to know about all of them, because then I know what's happening. If it's in Germany, I might only be interested if it's a very big event. For example, a gig event. If it's somewhere between, I might be interested if it's fairly large. So what we did is that you can add different radiuses from the coordinates and set that you want a certain amount of wheel attempts. So as soon as an event reaches that amount of wheel attempts, it will send you an email. So for example, when this gig event reached 1,000 wheel attempts, then I received an email in my inbox. Hey, there's an event in Czech Republic. It's, I don't know, 5 months from now, and it already has 1,000 wheel attempts. Maybe you're interested. That's how they work. We have notifier for edited logs. If someone logs a cache for you, they might write something temporary, found in field, will edit when I come home. And as a cache owner, most usually never see that log. It can also be that there is a note on the challenge cache that later on will be changed into found log. So GoPro can alert you about changed logs and send you a copy of them. GoPro can send you emails about every favorite points you receive or lose, on which cache, of whom or by whom. If someone uploads images to geocaches, GoPro can notify you. Especially interesting if you have mystery caches, because it happens that people take a photo of the end, which you might not want in first hand. Depending on what's on the photo, it doesn't really matter. But it matters if there's a geotag in it as well, because then it will tell the final coordinates. And GoPro will look those up and it will inform you in the email. This image is geotagged and the coordinates are this far from your actual final coordinates, so that you can act upon it. That's actually a good way to solve some mysteries. Look at the images up over the hours. And the latest edition, a week old, we have built new cache notifiers, similar to the ones from geocaching.com. We believe our interface is better, our emails have more information, but we're also a bit slower. We have both advantages and disadvantages. It's super fast to set up a notifier with GoPro. You don't have to set up 10 notifiers of different types. The long-term goal is also that we want them to be more dynamic. We want you to be able to have an application in your phone, sending in your current coordinates, maybe once per hour, user defined, and the notifier should be centered on where you actually are. Perfect when traveling, if you're interested in new cache releases. We have something called Challenge Checker Map, a part of the whole Challenge Checker system. It's pretty much a map of all challenge caches in the world. As a premium or a paying member at GoPro will always in the background do calculations. Which challenge caches does this user actually fulfill or does not fulfill? So when the challenge is plotted on a map at GoPro for a paid member, the user or the paid member will see there's on the icons there's a added check mark or a cross depending on if it's fulfilled or not. You can easily see where fulfilled challenge catches. And then we have the virtual GPS system, which actually will be the main point today. That's the core system for planning geocaching trips with GC. I mentioned earlier that we have something called a user script for GC. If you have heard of Great Moravia, it's related to that. It's a small plugin to web browsers, work with Chrome and Firefox. What it does is that it changes how geocaching.com looks, mainly the cache page itself. It adds information from GC into that cache page. Let's see. Yeah, I mentioned earlier that I work in calendars. Skip that for now. There's a tool that helps with that. I choose a tool, what I'm collecting, and I see a calendar. Oh, okay, here I'm missing that date, that date, that date. And it can even be exported into something called an iCal, which is a file that can be imported in the calendar, a digital calendar. So, the virtual GPS system, which is what I most of all want to talk about today. I'm going to put some power into my phone. The virtual GPS system is available for paid members. It's either up here, defined by that icon, or it can be found in that menu, virtual GPS. I would like to compare it with a shopping cart. If you are online in a web shop, looking for a pair of shoes, for example, when you find the shoes you want, you add them into a shopping cart. In the sake of GC, you look around at the web, you see geocaches you want to log, you put them into a shopping cart, or actually the virtual GPS. It's a way of looking into a new travel destination where you might not want to log them all. If like me, I know how far it's to here from home, but 800 kilometers, 1,000 kilometers maybe. I'm not coming here to log them all. If I'm here and want to log something, I want to log something specific. Either something with a lot of favorite points, maybe good DT, maybe some odd cache types, events, I don't know, it doesn't matter. But I don't want to log them all. I'm not looking to log all traditionals we have here. So the first thing you do, if you want to use this, is create a new list. I'm naming this Moravia 2017. And add a new list. If you noticed earlier, I had a lot of caches here. Now it's an empty grid. It's pretty much like an Excel sheet. So, let's see. For me, this started pretty much, I use it at home as well, not only when traveling this far. Because when I'm at home, there are so many caches everywhere, and I guess it's about the same here. So I'm not going to aim to log them all, because I won't manage. There are too many published, even though I cache a lot. So this is where the system started. That's my core idea behind it. I wanted to be able to filter the map to see what actually interests me. So the first question is, if we're going to make a fictive trip here, or actually we're more or less going to do what I did 2 weeks ago. We're going to look into, if I'm traveling to here, what would I like to log? The first thing that actually would interest me is something like favorite points. So I want to find out the best caches here. And the simplest method to do that is go back where we were earlier, top favorites. So we can start with looking at the favorite caches in Czech Republic. And And I look at this, I will soon realize I won't be in the whole Czech Republic, so I actually want to find the correct region probably. Can anyone help me? Which region are we in? That is, thanks. So here are the geocaches that have the most favorite points in this region. Again, we have a few black and gray ones. The black ones are totally archived. You can remove them straight away because they are not interesting. I assume I can't find them. And then I might look at the list and see, okay, so at least from, let's say, top 9, they stick out a bit. So I want to see where those top 9 is. I can choose more of them. This is just to keep it a bit slim. And I know we're somewhere here, so I might look around at these a bit. And I realize I want to log all these at least. I can use a tool here. I can draw a circle around them. And I add them into my virtual GPS. You see them sliding. Oh, that was actually wrong. I only added that one. So I can add by clicking them, plus, and I can remove it again. See it change from 2 to 1. Or I can add everything in that circle. Like that. So now I add those 5. We can go back to the virtual GPS and we can see that they are added. So this is my shopping cart now. And looking at most favorite points is just one way. As you know, geocaching.com shows how many favorite points per cent the cache has as well. We can of course plot that for you as well. That's all right. And again, I need to remove the archive, or I can ignore them later on, but it's easier this way. And again, let's say I want to look at everything that has at least somewhere around here, top 15. I can actually add them already from here if I want to. I can choose which list. I want to add them into my area. Number 1 to 15. There are some options down here. Can you exclude disable archive, those I've already found and so on. It's not on this list, it doesn't matter. Adding them to the list. Oh. Well, I have a lot to log now. If you didn't notice, I was going to write 15, but I wrote 315. That's the problem why I'm looking there. I should look here, because this monitor works quite fine as well. But as you can see, even when adding 300, it's pretty fine. And if I actually want to revert this, I could. Because there is a column saying source page. So I can make a filter here. Oh, that wasn't the filter button. So I can say I only want to see those that have source page top thumbs. Sorry, I thought I turned off the sound. I clearly didn't. So now I only have those. So I can select them all. I can remove them. So if I disable the filter, we're back to those we had earlier. And Project has another favorite system as well. not going to go too deep into it, but there's something called lower bound of Wilson score, which is actually a short version of what it says here. Lower bound of Wilson score, confidence interval for Bermuda something, I don't remember. It's some mathematical term. What it says in normal people's words are that a cache that has a high favorite point percent with a lot of logs is worth more than a log or a cache who has like 5 or 5 favorite points. You can say it in another way. If a geocache has 10 logs and has 10 favorite points, that will be worth much less than a cache who has 90 favorite points on 95 logs. Because it's much harder to get a high favorite percent when you have a lot of logs. So, from my own experience, this top list, it really shows the caches which are worth seeing. There are, of course, some exceptions, but generally it works pretty good. Just for fun of it, you can see which would be the best in Czech Republic, because I assume you know about it. So according to this system, these would be the best geocaches of Czech Republic. Going to look into my list here. So when traveling here, this might be a bit hard to do now afterwards, but if I'm going here to attend an event, I might want to look into other events as well. There's a special map for it, but I can do it in other ways if I want to. I can ask for a GC to show me all events up until Sunday, because then I'm leaving. Oh, it's September now. The problem now is that it will have removed events that were yesterday, because that day has already passed. Again, I can see where I know we're around here. I can look at and click at those. I can see, oh, that's tomorrow. Let's add that one. The site is tomorrow. Add that one. The Giga, I wanted to go there, of course, and so on. I don't know why the GPS maze isn't here. Maybe that has an older date. I don't know what's it's the official date of it since it last week. I assume it's because of that. And again, these have been added in here, of course. Just looking at my list. As I told you earlier, I tried to collect the physically different DT combinations. So that's also something I want to do. And this time I'm going to do it in another way. Let's see if we can load that cache. I want to use this as a center point. I actually think I can use the GC code as well, if I remember correctly. So it's a special tool for finding new DTs that you want, if you want to fill the physical. I need to add my own name, Czech Republic. I can use the Giga event as a center point, and I want to look at those that are within 30 kilometers, for example. Let's hope this works out. It tells me that there are nothing that helps me, because I only need 2 combinations to actually get further. What I can do is I can try to improve my stateful future. Maybe I can't find those, but maybe I can find for later on. So let's look into 5 laps from now. Is that true? Now I'm starting to worry that the GC code didn't work as a center point, which I really thought it should. it didn't. So that was my fault. It should work. I'll have to look into that at some point. So to help me with the fizzy grid, for the, see, I chose up until loop 47. I'm currently at 45, so that's 2 laps from here. These are the caches around here that can help me. And the challenge that I fulfilled, you can see with the green box here, Cortese has already figured out. I fulfilled that one. That's something I can definitely add to the list. And the same with this one. I noticed we are at T4.5 flow, so we'll see about that. Especially when you're flying, because we don't have any gear with us. But, that's life. And if I wanted to, I could try to look into a few more laps into the future. And I get a lot more. There's even a traditional out there I could look into if I wanted to. And again, our list is extending. This list can be plotted as a map as well. And even other things. So this is our current shopping cart with the GPS. What can we more add? We can look in, as I told you earlier, there's a bunch of Cortese where it looks into what I have sold caches. See if I have any sold ones here. There is. I'm not going to zoom into them too much. I don't know if it's reverse where I go or where it is, but those are sold at least. And I could add those to the list as well. If you're looking into filling your, what's it called in English? I like to call it hidden mounts. The Jasper. Pretty much you want to log a canister from each month geocaching.com has been active. And there's a tool for that as well. The problem is that I've already fulfilled it, but we can use a loop variable for that and see if there's anything available if I wanted 3 laps. Hopefully there is. Quite a lot actually. See if I can use 2. I have as well. So if I want to double up, or 2 possibilities here, you can see directly on the map, it's hidden, 2002, February, and that's 2001, 10. So if I want to log those, I can add those as well. But I also noticed they're quite far from where we actually are. But on the other hand, we are flying from here somewhere, so that one would be possible. What else do we have? As I mentioned, we have been flying from here somewhere. I don't know exactly where the airport is, but it's there. So, and then we have been driving all the way here. So another nice functionality would be to actually find caches that interest me on that driving trip. So I pretty much want to find caches that are of my interest along this route here. That's possible as well. A bit complex, but doable. We have a route builder, as geocaching.com has as well actually. I can create a new route. I can tell how far from the road am I interested to look. This is just a test. Let's take 8 kilometers. We're driving. It's from Prague. I'm not going to try to pronounce that one. It builds a route. It explains to me how it's thinking. The route is actually built up of several boxes. So if I use this route filter, it will look for caches in these boxes. I can even add a new destination to it. See? If we move that from there. And maybe I want to drive to up to that one as well. And I forced it to go that way. If I would change the one in the middle to something up here, oops. It will reroute it. And I can remove the middle step. So I'm saving that route now, because that's the route we're actually going to drive home from here at least. On the way here, we drove a bit different. Route saved. Now I can use this in most different places. So if we go back to favorites again, to make it simple. And I have a route filter. So if we want something to do on the way to the airport, I might be interested in looking into something like top 30 maybe, just to make an example. Well, let's take top 50. I think it will be easier to see. Here's the down point, because there are no good caches. I'm not going to say there are no good caches, but there are no top favorites on that part. It would be horrible of me to say that there are no good caches, because I have no idea. I haven't logged them all. Not there either. But that's the downside. So a workaround would be that I could make a route between here and here instead. And then I would actually see which one best, or has the most favorite points. But we also have less of favorite points just because we are not in big cities. So one way is actually to look at either 5 favorite points percent or favorite points Wilson. We could try the Wilson score and see if it makes a difference. And it does. Now I added a few more as well, just to be sure. But suddenly there are a few mysteries at least, which I'm probably not going to solve because, well, it's hard enough to log the lab caches here. The language is quite tough. Oh my. Now the time is off at least. So, but still, let's add these. So this is the list we ended up with. And well, it's quite short. The list Camilla and I made for traveling here is at 56 caches. But yeah, actually I forgot. We're going to add one more thing that's very interesting, especially for Open Squeal, because I think we have 2 active webcams, and we have a few more. I don't know how many virtuals we have active, 5 at most. Or at least we had 5 a week ago. Now we probably have 5 more. Things changed.
Can I have just one quick question?
Yeah.
When you were filtering the favorite caches,
Yeah.
what did you click on to make that box with save 15 appear? I didn't catch it. You know when you have like top 100.
Yeah.
And
Let's
you
see.
want to save, let's say 15, where do you click?
Oops. So I have a top list here.
Right.
So I can either create a map,
Right.
and it will ask me how many you want on the map.
So you create the map and the map asks you
Yeah,
for the
or
number.
I can add them directly into the virtual GPS and have a similar question here.
And again, okay, so the filter is after clicking on those two.
Yeah, the filter amount. And you can actually, it can be, if it's useful, can be written as 1 to 30. And I think it's a comma read. And you can do 50 to 60 as well.
Okay, thank
Something
you so
like
much.
that. I think it says here on the question mark actually. Not very nice formatted, but yes, it's a comma. That's a good
Thank you.
question. It's great that you ask. I've done this 1,000 times, so I don't really think.
It was so fast I didn't,
Yeah.
I see create, but I didn't see, I thought that it creates the map of all of those. So I didn't notice the filter.
It's great. So, since I want to load virtuals and webcams when I'm here, we have loaded 3 webcams already, I think. We're going to use a tool called Map Compare. This is actually built for something else, as the sound of it might indicate. The problem was, this is one of the first tools I built for ParkGC. I was caching a lot with a friend back then, and we didn't always cache together. So when we want to cache together, we need to find an area where none of us has cached. So what this tool can do, I'm going to make an example of where we live. So what this is going to do, it's going to compare me and Camilla sitting there in our home county. It's going to show us the caches none of us has found, the caches one of us has found. I did that just to illustrate that for look. And it will consider caches that we own as something we have found, instead of just showing that it looks silly. Otherwise, it will look like I haven't found my own cache. So usually that checkbox is needed. And if you're going to cache with a new friend, this is pretty cool actually. So there are different coloring here. The red caches hasn't been found by neither of us. And I think we have a legend up here. The blue boxes are found by OBD. In most cases, it's actually that I own them, indicated by a small star here. Caches I found has a smiley. And the yellow caches is only found by Camilla. I think in this case, it's only caches she actually owns that I haven't learned yet. So we're going to use this tool without a compare, because it's not needed. In that way, I can plot things on a map with it. So again, let's go to Czech Republic, look at my name. Actually, could look at both, if we wanted to. I will only want to see caches none of us have found, even if it's only one name. And I want to see virtuals and webcams. This is typical Windows, or actually most operating systems. In a list like this, you can hold down the control key. I guess it's not control on my macro, it's whatever it's called. Apple key. Function key, what's it called? The something key. You can select more than one item in such list. So,
I think it's called command.
okay. I tried using the Mac for a week in work, but I didn't get much to do during that week, so I didn't get anything done to be correct. So I had to stop. It wasn't for me. Yeah, but command key, that's, now when you say it, it rings a bell. So in this way, I easily got the map of all the virtuals and webcams. Again, I know which area I'm going to be in, so actually I know this is pretty much what we had in our list. when going here. Those can easily be added like that, and they're all in the list. There are other ways as well. ProGC has its own live map, which is pretty similar to the geocaching.com map actually. I'm going to zoom out so my solved mystery stuff isn't shown. Not because of you, but because of the video camera. So the map I have now only works in Sweden, so I'm going to switch. If you didn't see it, I unclicked the live enable and got disabled. So right now it's not loading caches. So it would be horrible to scroll down here. That was too much. So with the live map, I can, if I want, I can exclude my finds and stuff like that. I have filtering here as well. In a perfect world, you could disable all these with one click. You can't. But these are the cache types. So I remove everything but the virtual and the webcam. I could filter on favorite points, difficult to train, favorite points again, elevation, and so on. I apply my filter. True. I can close the filter again. And this is another way to load them all. It probably would refuse. Yeah, we can do it just for an example. And same, what I am using here, which will come, I've said that for over a year, is the polygon tool I use to draw a circle around them. So if you use the live map, you have to single-handedly add them. But that will be fixed. The live map has a max amount of caches that you can show at once. So if I would enable traditionals here, it will tell me, it might be a bit hard to read, but it says too many geocaches in the visible area. So if I would zoom in, it would work. But since most of the handling is client-side, the web browser would be really tired showing all this, sadly. Might be some improvements to make in the future. But again, we have our shopping carts or virtual GPS. It doesn't help much to have them on the web. We want them either in our Garmin or our smartphone, probably. Oh, my girlfriend has a good point. Or another interesting feature. If you're not traveling alone, you might want to do your planning with someone else. A list can be shared. It says shared list. I can choose if she can only read the list or she can also add and remove. I add her into the read-write permissions. And now she has the same list in her account. So if there's something else she wants to log, maybe she has another DT she wants to add, she can add that. And when we're done, we come to the final part. We can either build a GPX file, which is the most typical way, but if I remember correctly, and if it hasn't changed, the official geocaching application we have now, it doesn't import GPX files. What it does import is bookmark lists. So it can also be exported into a bookmark list. The problem with that one is that the bookmark list needs to already be created. So you need to go to geocaching.com, create the list, then from ProGC you can push them into there, then from the application you can download them into that one. The GPX file is simpler in a way, but I guess it's because I'm used to it. This also shows some different aspects of ProGC, or actually the first one does. It asks you if it should refresh data. It's important to know that all the data at ProGC is old, or it's not current. The data about geocaches might be a few days old. In some cases, it could be months. Usually, all active geocaches are at most 1 month old. If they're logged, they usually are not more than, or I should explain it in a different way. If someone logs a geocache, it will, in 99.9% of the cases, it will be refreshed within a day after that. If no one is logging a cache, it's harder for quite easy to detect that something's happening with it. If the cache owner is disabling the cache, it might take a while for quite easy to see that it has been disabled. And also the other way around if it gets enabled. And therefore, one can choose to ask QuartZ refresh everything that hasn't been refreshed until now. And QuartZ will work on refreshing these. In the GPX files, there can be logs added. It changes the size of a GPX file. It can be anything from 0 to 100. I built my GPX file for this trip with 100. My girlfriend was smarter. She realized I don't know the language. 10 is enough. We tried to find a cache yesterday. We found it at last. It had quite a lot of favorite points. We didn't find it at first because the rain was annoying and I didn't really feel for it. We searched a lot and it was like, okay, let's look at the logs. Oh, here's a German. I can read decent German. It says nothing about the cache. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Okay, so for my 100 logs, I found one log that I almost read and it said nothing. But she found it when we gave up, pretty much. And we walked out of her. So that's my new method. I just say, let's give up. And then I do something for 30 seconds and we're done. The system can send you an email when it's done, because the refreshing might take some time. Usually it's pretty fast, depends on the queue, depends on other factors. At least it estimates. In this case it says I need to refresh 29 caches, because it's hard to read here, but there are 29 caches in the virtual GPS. If I would change this one to 1 day, it says that only 3 of those 29 hasn't been refreshed in that time. So I need to refresh those 3. There's a checkbox to add Garmin improvements, as we call it. What it really does is that it adds a log. It will be the highest up of the logs, which has information about attributes. Because attributes can't be shown by Garmin device, at least not the old ones. I don't know about the new ones. When building, one can say, this is high priority, I need to leave in a minute. Put me in top of the queue, at least before everyone else who didn't choose that box. Then we come to the use corrected coordinates, which is also a bit special. The default is to refresh cache nodes. As I said earlier, if you write the corrected coordinates in cache nodes, it's easy for QuartZ to find them. This depends on how the API between geocaching.com and QuartZ is created. API is the way the sites talk to each other. So for cache nodes, QuartZ can ask geocaching.com, I want all cache nodes. But for corrected coordinates, when you edit the cache coordinate on the web page, it can say I want them all. So it needs to know on which caches. So this can be changed to deeper levels. The next level is refresh cache nodes, mysteries and multis. Then we'll go through every mystery cache and every multi-cache here and ask if you have the real corrected coordinates on it. The next level is to do it on everything but traditionals. Usually you don't have corrected coordinates on a traditional. There are cases that could be useful. But you might have them where I go, a letterbox, for example. I don't know how it's here, but I've logged quite a few letterboxes that's only projection, and you can do it from home. So it can be solved beforehand. And the typical virtual GPS consists of mostly traditionals. The deepest of them is to do it on the wall, which will require to fill in captchas because it's quite heavy for the system. But for this case, this is enough. I don't care about my great coordinates. And refreshing cache nodes for part Gs is usually 1 or 2 second job, so it's not, doesn't really matter. So press build. I expect this file to be done, I don't know, 10 seconds maybe, 15. Or when my telephone or smartphone beeps, except I don't have any sound on it anymore. The file can be found here for download in .q, and it is done. If it wasn't done, there would be some rotating icon here, pretty much when Windows is waiting. This file can be downloaded, added to your smartphone. Works differently depending on the application. Can be added into the Garmin device and so on. And that's our chosen geocaches. The system can also be used to build a huge GPS around where you will be, pretty much like geocaching.com. Personally, we usually do it like this only, but sometimes we bring a big GPS file as well if we have some time or want to load something else. And especially if we know there will be an issue with the internet. Because otherwise it might be, we stop for filling a car with gas, for example, then we want to know if there's a traditional. But this is what I personally started to use several years ago, and this is pretty much the only way we plan our geocaching trips today. So I hope that you find it useful, and maybe some of you already use it. So what's the time? We're almost up. Is there any interesting how challenge checkers work? Should I try to talk?
One question, maybe I missed it. How to, is it possible to find the oldest cache in this city, for example?
The oldest cache? Yeah, absolutely. There's a special tool for it even.
North, east, west, south, up.
See, someone knows. Yeah, it's a combined tool. That's why I didn't find it, because I saw those letters and then I didn't read further. So if you didn't see it, tools, quite far down, map, north, east, southwest, oldest. It will show you 5 things pretty much. The most northern cache, most southern, western, eastern, and oldest. So I guess Czech Republic is a good example. Archive is probably not interesting, while disabled might be. I can exclude traveling caches. I think most of those are archived now, but geocaching.com has an official bookmark that removes some caches from their statistics. It's geocaches that are very odd. For example, the traditionals that are traveling around. I think all of those has been changed now. But also you have, close to Prague, you have a cache that's plotted on the other side of the Earth. That's also included in that list. So, I don't know, if, you probably don't need to include, yeah, probably north, east, southwest, I need to exclude it here. And I can show these. It's super fast if you don't see it. Okay, everything works smoothly until you ask me about this. Nothing. So, as you can see, we can assume that's the eastern one, that's the western one, northern one, southern one, and that's the oldest one. Though, there's a problem, because this is fake data from cache owner. Project only handles the data it gets. So, but there is a workaround, of course. A bit cumbersome. Either we can add a restriction saying we don't want anything that's before year 2000, because that's when geocaching started. Let's hope the second question is faster. Where?
In this I find the oldest cache, but if I want to find the, for example, 5 the oldest.
I'm coming to it, I promise you. Wait, it says here this is also paying membership only. So I wasn't sure. No, I don't. Ah, it's still loading. Fresh. I think you should look into why this tool is so slow actually, because I don't think it needs to be that slow. No, I assume this is oldest. Yeah, and everyone here knows, and I have no idea. So for your next question, if you want to find the 5 oldest, it's already visible. There's a loop filter. Just add a 5.
Yeah.
I'm not going to run the query because then we have to wait a minute. The only issue is that the map is getting a bit cluttered, because it's going to show 5 of the northwest, 5 of the southwest, and so on. But hopefully the oldest ones won't be close to the others. It's fairly clear. Because the older ones will all be here. So I think it will be decent. It might get a problem when you're up to 20, 30 something.
But down below you get the list of the northeast cache, east cache, the oldest cache. If you scroll down,
Yeah?
you see the list of the caches, so you can filter out the oldest cache.
Yeah, true. You're an expert. So what you say is that we have a table below, and that table is actually divided into different sections. And as you can see, there is an add button here. So if you want them into our virtual GPS, check the box, add, and it's in. Hopefully,
Several times.
that's right. That's when there's a hiccup on the internet, because it's showing that animation until it's actually added. I forgot, because, well, I usually have quite good internet towards part GC at least. You're satisfied?
Yeah. Okay, if I want to find the, is there some filter for specific parameter, for example, there is a needed light or something like this?
Attributes.
I didn't really get it.
Like, let's say that you want to find just the caches where you need the UV light to sort by attributes, sort of thing.
It's a bit complex, but I'll show it, definitely. I think it's great questions. The thing about ProJS is that some things are fairly simple. I'm saying fairly because for a normal internet user, it might not be that easy. But some things are very complex. So this is another paid feature. We have something called custom filters. Just going to take some water. I think actually the internet's getting a bit slow. So we create a new custom filter. I can name it to whatever I want, as long as I recognize it later on. This is a box of statements, currently empty, so currently it would do nothing. I want to add a statement. Different sections here. We're looking for attributes. There's a UV attribute. I can ask the site if it's required. Yes, or actually, I choose if it should be toggled or not. if it should be in a yes state, no state, like that, you see the icon changed, or it shouldn't exist on the cache page at all. So what we are after is that it's checked. I marked that, it's hard to see here, but it's a blue box around it now. And I can choose if it should be required or not allowed in the cache page. For example, sometimes if I want to find T5s in another country, I have a filter built for that. I include the climbing gear, because that's what I want to do. But then I make a restriction that it should be, it's not allowed to be boat required, because I might not have brought my boat. So what we're doing here, we're adding the UV as required. It's added to the statement. And this is a bit of logic, like programming. So I can keep adding things here. For this, just for example, I could say it needs to be a micro as well. And it's added up here as well. So all these, there's an and between. It needs to be this and this. I add an up to filter and they're up in statements. So I could add another statement now, and it will be an or between these. So it will be UV micro or something completely different. I save my filter, and that's only the filter. So now we actually have to look for it. We can return to the map compare, because that's, well, it says compare, but as I mentioned, you don't need to compare, and it's quite powerful because it's simple. There's our new filter. We're going to look at caches which I haven't found in Czech Republic, which matches our new filter. Do you have a lot? No? Not like that. But no, it's only micros, because I added that as well. Does that work? I'm so glad you asked things that I actually can solve for you. It's much more annoying when I get questions like, oh no, you can't do that. No, then fault that. Yeah, please.
Is it possible to add in one filter more DT combinations?
You want, for example, you want a 1.5 or a 5.1. Same, just on filters. I'll do it. That's just the name, so I know I should remove it later on. I should have done that with the last filter, because next time I'm going to need to filter on UV. I'll notice I already have a filter and I don't find micros. And I won't know that. So, for example, if we want 1.5s, I add that as a statement, add it to a filter, then we need to add the other option, which is a 5.1. So now it's either, it doesn't really say here what these statements are, but they can be edited and seen. But it will be a 5.1 or 1.5. If I remember this correctly, we can verify it. It's possible at least, but I think this is the way to do it. Click a few random caches. It's a 1.5, 5.1. 2 clicks and I made it. And there's also this down here. For most maps you have a table like this below. Most maps. It can be sorted. It can actually be sorted in more than one column by holding down Shift. So it's primary sorted on T and secondary on size. More questions? I love your questions. Yeah?
I would have few of them. Concerning the defining of the edited blocks. question a few months ago whether couldn't be in those notifiers be included the genuine ones. And also, if I got the email, I can compare the online. I would say what has changed.
Ah, for the editor log, yeah.
You don't have to go into the stored emails.
What he's talking about, I'm just going to repeat it so everyone knows. Speaking about the notifiers I talked about earlier, when someone edits a log on a cache you own, Partisi will tell you, here's the new log. What Partisi doesn't tell you is, this is the old log, and it doesn't tell you the difference. And that's what you're missing. It is planned. I've been looking into it, but well, it was more or less I had to choose between this one or that one. So I kind of got stuck and I didn't know what to do.
So you are aware?
It's still a plan. Still a plan. So the idea in final end is that you should get an email saying this is the original log, this is the new log, and it should even show you the difference. Yeah, because in some cases it's only a word that's corrected, and you look at these logs and say the eye can't really tell you. I mean, but it's a spelling issue. And sometimes just a sentence in the end and stuff like that. And there's another thing missing as well, because it doesn't tell you if log type is changed. So that's also something we're looking into, and we come at the same point most likely.
Yes, because sometimes it happens. For example, I own the Earth cache.
Yeah.
And there is a log with right now.
Yeah.
Yes. And the guy, I'm waiting for the answer. That guy, I'm checking that log for a couple of weeks. Then I forget about it, and in 2 months, for example, I'm checking those logs backwards, and realize that the guy, without sending question or answer,
Yeah, he has changed the log.
yes, so switch the log from bad end to found.
I would assume some people use that as a tactic. They do it all the time. I would guess so. But yeah, I really see the need for it, and it is something I will fix, and I can promise we will. I can't say if it will happen this year, hopefully, but it's a plan. I want to make it much better.
Thanks.
And I really see your points, especially for those owning Earth caches, virtuals, challenges, those who need to monitor in another way. For traditionals, in most cases, it doesn't matter what the log itself says. It's more feedback or a pat on the shoulder saying good job.
Another question.
Absolutely.
There is the new function notified for the new caches.
Yeah?
And I have the question, what would be the most useful and crucial function for me within? Would be if I could get the notifications for the regions or the counties. So the area that I operate usually.
Yeah.
So that would be the most useful comparing to the geocaching notification, because I do not care about the perimeter very much, rather the region.
I have two answers for you. But first, so he's talking about the 1 week, 2 week old new cache notifiers at Partisi. So these are fairly similar to ones at geocaching.com called instant notification service. They send you an email when there's a new cache. It's still in testing. I actually made some pretty bad bugs earlier this week in it, so there's quite a lot of extra emails sent, and it's working out. We provide a few advantages, and we also tell the disadvantages. And these are actually really quite important to read, in my opinion. First off, I like it to be less stable. You cannot rely on these in the same way, because we don't have their manpower, we don't have their quality. It's not possible. We don't have 70 employees, and we're only full-time employee. Then I have help from others. Sometimes I pay a guy to work extra outside his normal work and so on. They are usually slower. It's to expect that they are about a minute slower. Currently, we have a limit on how many notifications we can send per day or per month. That's because we're actually paying for our emails to have good handling of spam or against spam. And it's easier to do it that way if you have limited personnel instead of doing all that work yourself. So we have a fixed amount of emails we can send every month, and after that we pay for email. It's not a lot, but if we have hundreds of users getting 1,000 emails per month, it will definitely increase the cost a lot. So how they work is that you can click here, add new notifier. You can add a name to it so you can recognize it yourself. It might be virtual world. If you want the world, you need to remove this and maybe that. And for virtual, we choose virtual. But I'm just going to disable the enable so I don't get them. And save. And when that's saved, when the internet wakes up, so now I'm getting notifiers about all virtuals published in the whole world. What our friend here wants is that first off we probably want to filter it on Czech Republic. And in your case you might not even want it on virtuals. You might want everything. Then he wants to choose region and county. And as you see, these are empty. That's just because I haven't gotten that far yet. I didn't prioritize that. It's planned. That's why they're already added. The workaround, that's my first answer, it's planned. The workaround is that you use this box instead. You can add your coordinate, home coordinates, for example. And you can say, I want everything within 100 kilometers. That's the workaround. Good enough?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. But the regions and counties will be added as well.
Another one, concerning the kayak events, why can I not anymore choose, when you, before coming here, you have the function. For example, you explain why I would need to know.
I didn't really understand it, sorry.
I would need to see, well, I plan to go to any area I'm not very much familiar with.
Yeah?
I'm going to set the event there. I would be curious what are the places, that place, I mean that city or whatever, wherever, which are safe, which are used for the events, for the local location, the concrete place I would need to know. So I would like to see backwards, for example, for 1 year, events which are already attacked. Just to see the place which is used with the locals. So, because I only can see the events which are planned.
You want to see old events?
Yes, so I would choose the time frame, for example, 1 year.
It's doable. Once again, we'll go to map compare. It's a go-to tool for lots of things like this. Let's say we Czech Republic, for example.
Let's say just Olomouc, for example.
Olomouc.
Here it is.
The region, right. That one. And events only, Citus.
Let's say.
Yeah. We could choose, just for record, we could choose cash in for shout as well. And Giga and Mega and so on. You want the dates?
1 year. You can choose.
1 year back.
Yes.
And maybe you don't want these that are in the future for this. One more thing we need. We need to include archive.
Okay.
130.
Please.
Another great question. This part I haven't been able to answer them all. I'm so surprised. Usually it's, no, can't do that.
Usually simple questions can be asked in Project GC question and answer forum, and there will be people who will.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have already asked you them and they have not answered.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's why I'm asking here.
Oh, I guess this could be very simple answer there. I probably didn't notice it.
I should show that. What they're saying is that Parcheesi has like a community support system. It's in the home menu. We call it community support. It's a QA forum. So you can ask a question here. How can I show archived events? And writing in English increases your chances of getting an answer. I'm not forbidding anyone to write in any other language. And if someone complains, like aggressively, I think I would definitely remove the log if I heard of it. If they just write, if they say if you write in English, you might increase your chances. Well, then they are trying to help at least. But I think in most cases, if you aren't too good in writing in English, I think it's better to write in a native language sometimes, because Google Translate can help a lot. But if I ask the question, how can I show archived events? The system will say, before proceeding, please check if it's answered by any one of these. It doesn't. Not in this case. So that's actually, that's the question or the subject. The question should be more or less clear with subject. Then I can fill in with more information here. I would like to see events in Czech Republic that was active during 2015, for example. I won't post it right now, because it will end up like a question like this. Not sure what to take. Let's take that one. It doesn't have an answer, so if I want to show it, then it will say here, how do I show archive events or description? And then people are answering down here. And you'll get an email every time someone answers. If your email is added into Project GC. But if I remember correct, that's required for you to actually ask something in this forum. But it's a good way of getting help. I think it's working decently enough. I usually don't spend my time there myself, but I know a lot of users do. So a lot of knowledge there. And the good thing is, if only I or the others actually working with Parcheesi daily, like our support guy, if only we were answer here, we'd probably miss a lot of solutions. Because sometimes you can do things in a bit of a quirky way. So it's good that for other people actually think about this as well. Any other questions? Are we good?
I have one question. It is possible to find countries count for more than one country. I won't see caches that will find all countries in Czech Republic and Slovak Republic together.
I didn't really get it.
I need it's 79 countries in Czech Republic, 77 in Slovak Republic, and I need a list of caches. They found in both Republic, all countries.
Do you want to see how many I found in?
How many caches found all countries in both countries?
How many caches you have found?
Well, is there anybody who found any cache in all of the countries? Any country?
Great, thanks. For one country or for two countries?
Two countries.
You knew that was that answer. There's a top list of county finders. No, I'm not sure. what it actually does. I have to think about it. No, not for 2 countries. So what this tool can tell you is that all these people have found in 77 in Czech Republic, but it can't tell you who has found the most in Czech Republic and Slovakia. I think it actually surprised me because I think it would be possible to write it like that. So if you feel for it, you should send a support ticket, because I will forget it, and we'll look into it. It might be something I don't think about right now, but in many cases, for paying members, we have, as you can see in a list like this, we can only select one item. But for paying members, we have a button like this, which is missing here, which will convert this one into something that we can multi-select. So if this one here would be a multi-select, then you could select both, and you will get what I understand that you ask for. And I think it's actually like a 50-minute work to do it, if that's not something I don't think about right now. So it could be doable.
May I have a question?
Absolutely.
I would like to filter applications which begin with a certain letter, for example.
That was a bad question.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, you can. If it has to start with specific character, it's not a problem. Because then we can do it in map compare again. Is it the cache name?
Is the name of the cache?
Yeah.
Because there in France there is a challenge cache, the alphabet, and you need to find a cache for every letter.
Yeah.
A cache which begins with A, the cache which name begins with B.
Yeah.
If you find the whole alphabet, then you can claim this challenge cache.
Exactly. We could use a map compare once again, because it has a cache name filter.
Okay.
So I could say it needs to start with an A. Or actually, let's take some less common character, so I don't get 1,000 hits. I made that one as well. I'm not sure I can allow any questions anymore. I'm starting to get scared. Anything else you can think about? So I guess we're good then.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for coming and listening, and thank you for all the questions, because it's it feels a lot when you actually ask questions, and I know that you're interested. I'm not just sitting here because you're paid by someone. So, thanks.